Hello, everybody. Welcome to the World Expert Series, series that is being held and hosted by Kachikena, where we bring experts from around the world to share ideas, but more importantly, to share tools of the trades that they are in. And today we have an expert in machine learning, in particular in reinforcement learning. He'll share about the theory of reinforcement learning as well as give you practical and a practical exercise for you to get a taste of what reinforcement learning is about. So we're very excited to have Mr. Avalpreet Bra, and I will let him introduce himself, and then we'll move on to the session. But before we move on, I want to make it clear that this is supposed to be an interactive session, so you can ask questions during the presentation itself. And afterwards, there's also going to be a special Q&A session where you can ask questions, but we encourage you to just ask the questions during the presentation. That way, we don't forget. So we want it to be very interactive and interesting and fun. Okay, so let's get started.
Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. My name is Avalpreet Singh, and I'll be presenting today on the topic of Introduction to Reinforcement Learning. I'm doing my Master's of Engineering here at NTU, and I've been working with reinforcement learning algorithms for some time now. And I would like to share with you all guys what I've learned so far. So let me share my screen. All right, so we'll start with the introduction. So the first thing that comes into mind is what is reinforcement learning anyways. So I would like to think of reinforcement learning as a learning to take an optimal action in any particular situation so that the action leads to certain rewards that are maximized. So it's like learning what action to take in a given situation so that the rewards are maximized. And how is it any different from any other machine learning languages or like any other machine learning algorithms? Is that, for example, in supervised learning, we have the right answers or the labels itself beforehand, and we try to learn a function or a mapping from input space and the labels. But in case of reinforcement learning, the learner is not told which action to take, but he must discover which action yields the most rewards. So there are a bunch of options that are available with the learner or the agent as it is called. And he or she or it takes that action and then it receives a reward out of that action. If that reward is high, then the agent learns that it is good to take this action in this particular situation and vice versa. So something that is very closely related to reinforcement learning is something known as the sequential decision making. Now, you see this picture here. There is the person, let's say, let's imagine a situation here. Let's say this guy has come to a random new city and he needs to go to his home, and right now he's at his workplace. He doesn't know the exact path to his home, but let us assume that all the paths eventually lead to his home. However, the paths may vary on depending on the length of that path. So he's repeatedly facing this kind of situation that when he starts from his workplace, he goes to an intersection. And at intersection, he has to decide whether he needs to take a left turn or he needs to take a right turn. So in this case, the situation here is the intersection that he has to face. And then the action space becomes whether he needs to turn left or right. Doing this, eventually he will reach his home by taking a particular path, but the objective of the person should be that he needs to take the shortest path to home. So it would be like if we quantify this objective in terms of reward, it will be like maximizing this reward, which is negative times total path length to the home. So when we maximize the negative of any value, it will be like we'll find the shortest path because that will be the value which we need to get. All right. So how do we model sequential decision-making processes? So generally, this is a very standard framework of modeling a sequential decision-making process, which is known as a Markov decision process. Now, let us say that we are in any particular situation, like in previous example, we were at an intersection. From now onwards, let us call that situation to be the state, all right? So let's say we are in any particular state, ST, and T is the current time slot. We have a bunch of options or actions, let's say left, like turning left or right. We take any particular action AT in that state ST. This will yield some reward RT plus 1, and we'll be transitioning into another state, which will be the next state or the transitioned state, ST plus 1. Now, let us take a simple scenario. These states, actions, as well as rewards must belong to any of these finite sets, which means that the state can either be S1, S2, or S3 and cannot be anything else. So while transitioning, let's say the person starts at state S1, goes to state S2, then goes to state S3, and then back to S1 or something. Anything is possible. Similarly, actions have to be either A1 or A2. So this is a very simple case. Since the state space, action space, and the reward is all finite, this kind of decision process is known as a finite Markov decision process. Okay, so now let's move to the dynamics of the Markov decision process. What do we mean by dynamics? So basically, dynamics is denoted by this probability distribution function. Here in this case, it is a discrete probability distribution function. That if you started in state S, let's say, and you took an action A, what is the probability that you will end up in state S prime while taking or getting the reward R? So this probability, which is conditional to this condition, is known as the dynamic function of this Markov decision process, or sometimes the dynamics of the environment. This is in simple notation, it is denoted like this. All right, let's take an example. For example, in our finite Markov decision process, we have two states, which are S1 and S2. In any state, we can take only two actions, which are A1 and A2. Once we take that action, we are either going to get reward R1 or going to reward R2. And eventually, again, we are going to transition into any of these one of these states. Okay, so we can summarize all this using this table. For example, let's say we fix that we are always going to start in state S1 and we are going to take action A1. Now, we can either transition to state S1 again, or we can go to state S2 while getting a reward of R1 or R2. So there are 4 possible combinations which are given in this second column. All right, for any particular transition, let's say state S1, we took action A1, went to state S1 again by getting reward R1, we have this transition probability, which is the probability of going to state S1 again, getting a reward R1, given that we were in state S1 and we took action A. This is nothing but the conditional probability, but in terms of reinforcement learning, we call this the dynamics of the MDP or the dynamics of the environment. All right. Now, next important concept is the transition probability. All right. So it's like this. You have a finite set of rewards. If you sum all the state transition probabilities with the reward, let's say R, and you sum it over all the possible values of reward, you get the probability of transitioning into state S once you start from state. Let's say in this case, you get the probability of transitioning to state S1 when you started in state S1 and took action A1. All right. So here we are not caring about what reward we are going to get. It's just like what is the probability we are again going to end up in state S1. Okay. In another possible scenario, we might be interested in what is the probability of, let's say in this case, what is the probability of getting reward R2 and while we were in state S1 and we took action A1. All right. So this is like a basic overview of dynamics of the Markov decision process. So far what we have seen is that there are 3 important components to a Markov decision process. One is the state. Second is the action that we take. Third is the reward. And then this happens in a sequential manner. We are in a state, we take action, we get a reward, and we go into next state. And while doing so, there is a probability involved. We can go from any state to any other state, but there is a the probability that is involved with this transition is given by the dynamics of that ability. All right, let's move on to next concept, that is of return and policy. Uh, okay, when we repeatedly go in these transitions, let's say we start in S0 and then which was the initial state, we took action A0, we got reward R1, and then we moved to state S1. Again, we took action A1, got the next reward, and so on, right? If we eventually terminate and then stop these transitions, this kind of tasks are known as the episodic tasks. For example, in our initial example, where we were starting from our workplace and going to our home, and the series of the intersections were our states, going to left and right was the action that we are going to take. Reward in that case was the length of the path that we are going to take till the next intersection. And finally, when we reach home, that is our terminal state. So this is the episodic task. However, all tasks need not be episodic, and this transitions may continue in a continuous manner forever. For example, let's for sake of simplicity, let's keep the episodic task as of now. For example, let's say you are in state ST. Now, while being in state ST, if somebody asks you, what is the rewards that you will observe here on till the termination of the states, that is the sum of all the rewards that you are going to get from state ST onwards, that is RT plus 1, RT plus 2, RT plus 3 till R capital T in this episodic task. This sum is known as the return. All right, this is just the definition. The dot on this equality sign means it's a definition. That means it's not derived from somewhere, but we start this thing from here onwards, right? So this is how we define return. All right. So next important concept is that of policy, which is, I would say, the most important concept in reinforcement learning, as well as the objective of any reinforcement learning task. So it is like when you are in any state ST, what action should you take, or what is the, like in particular, there are two types of policies. In this case, we will study the stochastic policies. Here it is the probability distribution over the entire action space. For example, let's say you had only two actions, A1 and A2, and you had, let's say you were in state S1. So in state S1, what is the probability you are going to take action A1, and what is the probability that you're going to take action A2? So that is known as the policy. This policy is basically the main goal of our reinforcement learning task. And we, in upcoming slides, I will show you how we will try to learn the best possible policy that will lead us towards higher rewards when we implement that in a sequential manner.